Hey everyone, it's Dr. Jerod here from Hedron Life Source. Just wanted to make this video because I get a lot of questions about why or how can energy affect us, because we're so caught up in the biochemical aspects of things, we forget about the biophysical. It's not even mentioned oftentimes in many modalities, ways of care, but one of those aspects, the best way to explain it would be to, let's take a look at the cell, for instance. So we're going to go back into a little bit of high school biology, right? So just stick with me because this will make sense in the end. So everybody remembers, I hope everybody remembers mitosis, and that's basically cell division, right? So we have these little bundles of nucleotides in these histones, and these histones are collectively called chromatin. And what happens is these nucleotides that are bundled in there in these histones, and they're put together on in these chromatin, makes up the chromosomes basically. There's like 6 feet of nucleotides. If you were to pull it out, string it out, there's like 6 feet of nucleotides in these chromatin. They're like beads, clumps of beads on a string, basically. But through this mitotic process of the cell, they all line up perfectly. And then the cell begins to divide, and then you get your new cell. This happens every day for us in our bodies, organs, all that good stuff, right? But most of the time, our cells are not in this mitotic phase. They're in this phase called interphase, which has 3 phases in it, but we're not going to get into that. But this interphase part of the cell, this is where most of the cell's time is spent. And what happens are these chromatin actually communicate with each other. They dance with each other in this phase. So this is where a shift from our external environment can be introduced to our bodies, whether it's trauma of some sort or a chemical, whatever it might be. A shift can take place if the exposure is stressful enough to the body or long term. And that shift takes place, and it changes the dance that the chromatin does. It changes that rhythm. And then your genes can be expressed in a different way at that point. That's the flipping on switch of the genes, and oftentimes it's not one of those beneficial things. Like a methylation issue, if you've ever gotten genetically tested and somebody mentioned a specific snippet that has to do with methylation, that you may have trouble with that, or you're predisposed to having trouble with that because you have that gene marker, right? Well, that is if that dance between the chromatin gets disrupted, changes that dance, and your cells express something else, something in a mutative form. But my point is, what is that dance that's between the chromatin of the cell? That's your frequency. So your frequency shifts, and that changes the outcome of the cell. Now, do we get Hedron products and say, well, we're good? Well, I wish it was that easy. Very helpful, of course, but you have to do more. And I'll explain that. You have to become more of a terrainist. The new age term is biohacker, but really you have to learn how to change your terrain in order to maintain a certain integrity of the cells, so that shift, that rhythm is maintained in a healthy state. Because you interact with earth frequencies, you interact with all types of different frequencies. And we've worked really hard at Hedron to put those frequencies and embed those frequencies and help to stabilize the body in so many different ways. But you have to do some work as well on your internal terrain. And I'll give you some tips the next video, but I'll explain what that's all about in the next video. But I hope this video finds you guys well. I hope this puts a little bit of a new perspective on things for you. Thank you. Have a great night.